Welcome, East Denver. My name is James Young. I am CEO of a bridge. We make a product called Collab.land. Have people heard of Collab.land? Okay, awesome. Excellent. So if you use Collab.land, great. What I'm going to be talking about today is how do we exit to community for Collab.land. And so I want to first thank everyone here that has helped contribute to East Denver. This is an amazing event. I remember East Denver, one of my first ETH conferences, and was motivated by just kind of the spirit of the community here. Moved to Boulder in 2019. And so if you're into crypto, into DAOs, I would highly recommend checking out what the state has, my home state, Colorado has. And it was about 3 years ago, actually this week, when we launched, I helped launch Moloch DAO. We've been toying around with the concept of DAOs for a few years, and what really got me interested in Ethereum specifically was the DAO in 2016. And how we can reduce coordination costs. And that was just this rabbit hole that fascinated me. And when we were launching Moloch, we were like, we need to create a whole new economic system because Web 2 is equivalent to living in the dark ages, right? You're the product. You're the serf tilling the land, using your attention and all of your actions for these platform providers to make money off of advertisers. And the concept here, and it still is true, with Web3, and when we were launching Moloch, was thinking, wait, we need to be able to own. It's about working together and shared ownership, and in this age of enlightenment. And practically speaking, having been part of Moloch and helped start Metacartel DAO, there was this difference in terms of practicality. And so it was really hard to let alone like converse with someone on a DAO proposal because I don't know who 0x123 is. Right? And so when we launched Collab.land in 2020, it was really just a practical kind of cheat code where, because with Collab.land, this is my fourth startup, I know how hard it is to be able to get people to go to a website. So what we did was we said, hey, you know what? I want to solve a problem. I need to be able to talk to token holders. So why don't we just have a bot and go to where people already are? And that was kind of the beginning and the inspiration of Collab.land. And we're still very early. And when I was looking at the traction that we had with Collab.land and thinking about Web 2, yes, you are still the product. You're still tilling the land. But I think with Web 3, what I've come to realize is that we're turning things kind of upside down, right? So whether you're an NFT, a DeFi, a DAO, or a play-to-earn community, you get to set up shop. Now, you get free commercial real estate on these platforms. It's still very early, and I think this is why this experiment with Collab.land is so interesting. So we're just at the very beginning. Things are very chaotic, right? So this is what I would kind of understand if you're in DAOs or in these NFT communities. These Discord servers can be kind of frenetic, but I think this is where the opportunity is. So as we take a step back, we have at Collab.land 13 different chains. The majority of them are EVM-based side chains or EVM compatible, and we have Discord and Telegram. We're working on Reddit. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we have a GitHub integration. And we have looked at a bunch of different platforms, and we know that these platforms are ripe anything that has an API, if anyone knows what an API is, can be integrated or can be used to provide token granting roles for whatever that platform is. And when we started with Collab.land, and we thought of it as just being able to bring people together that have this shared ownership, we didn't understand actually what this would mean. With 13 different chains, many different wallets, just 2 platforms, we have, just on Discord, over 20,000 tokenized communities. We have over almost 3.5 million registered wallets. What's interesting, though, is we're just scratching the surface. And when we go back to just what is it that we're trying to do now with Collab.land, because we have this opportunity, in a way, to kind of take back these platforms that we've worked so hard on. And now we can have a sustainable economic shared model. My ideas of like what Web3 is have evolved. So instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, we can actually take back the internet. We can take back these platforms that are supposed to serve us. And this is where I think Collab.land is going. Part of that, and with all this data that we hold, there are a couple things that we want to make sure that we push forward, right? So as we exit to community, and there have been other projects that have exited to community, we don't think of it as like flipping a switch. What we're doing now is getting the stamina, the working out, the collaborations. So we have a small team. We're 6 full-time employees, but we have many, many partners. And for us, as we exit to community, what's super important for us is that we have a token, whatever, that it's not like turning on a light switch. It's not throwing something over the fence and like YOLO, good luck. We want to make sure that it's a smooth experience. So when I talk about the focuses that we have for Collab.land, one is focusing on these API integrations. 2 is what I'm going to briefly describe in terms of self-sovereign identity, DIDs, decentralized IDs, and verifiable credentials. It's all about ownership, right? I don't think any one of us here is interested in creating the old system just on new rails. So what we're focused on in terms of ownership is very important. And the data and the sovereignty, the responsibility ultimately will end on the individual. And we need to make room for that. What does that look like? This is part of this experiment as we decentralize. And third, and what's important is that there's this interoperability, that we make sure that like we're building this together. So for the first point, when I talk about how we're decentralizing, I talk about our integrations, I want to highlight the different groups that we're working with. Again, we're working with a bunch of different initiatives, teams, and projects. I'm only going to call out a few because of the nature of this presentation, but we are working with a bunch, and I'm just going to highlight just a small percentage or a small group of them. So the first one, I want to give a shout out to Raid Guild. Raid Guild. If you don't know what Raid Guild is, go check out raidguild.org. And it's born from Metacartel, and we're here to just help people understand Web3. And one of the first integrations outside of our core team is this Reddit integration. So don't mind the slide. It's just there to tell you that we have everything kind of figured out and planned out for the Reddit integration, and it's coming soon. So as we decentralize, we're taking on more platforms, and Reddit is going to be is on the roadmap. Not only do we have these different platforms from like an API level, I'm going to get a little bit technical. We have these like I don't know what you want to categorize them. I call them like DAO ops. So there is like Coordinate, SourceCred, and a couple others that I'll mention here. And one of the first ones that we're integrating with, that's not quite a platform, but more of this like DAO tooling, is Sumodai. So Sumodai is a project that is wanting to become an ops platform where you can track your tasks in a DAO, see the task details, and see how who's in the DAO as well. So you can think of it as a LinkedIn, so that you can actually see members in a DAO. A Glassdoor, you get to see what the DAO is doing, in a Trello for task management. And what we've collaborated with Sumodai on is retroactive rewards. So if you're familiar with Collab.land right now, you know that there's a bot interface. What we're previewing right here is a web app that we're coming out with. It's coming out of beta now as we speak, that allows these community admins to be able to set their token granting roles in a website, because the bot interface is great and easy to use, but it can become cumbersome. And so with Sumodai and retroactive rewards, we are using SourceCred so that communities don't have to be based solely on asset ownership. So you can contribute to a DAO and earn these rewards that are weighted via SourceCred. And this is what Vitalik has mentioned and has written about in terms of retroactive rewards. So now we're moving from just token granting roles based off of asset ownership to being able to extend that so that you can get new roles based off of retroactive rewards. So let's say you do something in a DAO, you can get rewarded for it. And we're going to come out with this SourceCred integration soon. Two, in terms of what we're doing in terms of ownership, is we're working with Veramo. Veramo agent is what we use to be able to deploy or be able to create verifiable credentials. So again, here is a quick demo. We're going to come out with this user portal where users will be able to claim their verifiable credential. And what do I mean by that? Well, right now with Collab.land, you get access to, let's say, a Discord channel because you own an asset. What we think will become valuable is not only owning that asset, but also the actions that those assets unlock. So with a verifiable credential that's based off of your asset ownership, Collab.land could attest that you are early in on a NFT community, right? So for example, you may not own that asset, you may not own that Bored Ape or that World of Women anymore, but through these verifiable credentials, Collab.land attests that you were early on and you had access to these channels. And so you can take those verifiable credentials and then you can move on to a new DAO. So you're not like starting at level 1. You have now what's the beginning of your resume or your reputation. And so what we're going to do is not only token grant roles based off of asset ownership, but by the actions that you've done and the things that those assets have unlocked. So that's kind of our step 2. And we want to make sure that you as a user are owning that, you have selective disclosure for that. And so we're going to try to figure it out. There is this interesting UI UX scenario where people are going to have to learn and be responsible for that data, just like people in Web3 have to be responsible for their keys. And so this is kind of this next level of ownership and data ownership. And part of our experiment as we exit to community is to find and figure out this together. And then 3 is interoperability. Like, this doesn't make sense. The whole money Legos metaphor or the composable community metaphor breaks down if there isn't interoperability. So we want to make sure that we start off and we are interoperable. This is why for all these points in terms of focuses for decentralization, we make sure that we are working with other partners. So we are creating the stamina. We are creating, like, we're working out organizationally on how to decentralize. And so for interoperability, we're working with Sobol. And Sobol is this UI that shows you a map of your DAO. And it gives you details on a visualization in terms of details of who's in the DAO, what the DAO is doing, who is making up members of that DAO, and kind of their contribution. And I will turn the audio off on this. But what we're doing with our integration for interoperability, this video is not playing, but I'll explain it, is that with Sobol, we're able to take Sobol verifiable credentials into Collab.land. We're creating a standard, an interoperability standard for verifiable credentials. We are taking it very slow. We're starting and we're using and thinking about the OpenSea metadata standard for interoperability. So we will try to stay unopinionated about whether these VCs should be on-chain as like NFTs, transferable or non-transferable, or if these are just purely off-chain attestations. With Sobol, they'll be able to, and this is what the video shows, that they can ingest Collab.land VCs. So we're beginning on this road of interoperability. And so I think we all can agree decentralization is the future. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I would highly encourage everyone again to take a look at Colorado and what is happening here on a statewide level. It's been an honor to share the same stage with all these incredible thought leaders. I think that, you know, when we had set out to start Moloch, we are thinking about a decentralized future. I think that there is this ability for us to not throw the baby out with the bathwater. My hypothesis, my purview, and what I see seems to be working right now is this ability to work with the platform providers, work with governments, and to be able to carve out this future of work in terms of decentralization. I think it's inevitable. And so, you know, I encourage everyone to get on board, to be able to check out what we're doing at Collab.land. We don't have all the answers. This is an experiment, and me actually being here on stage and talking about decentralizing Collab.land, you know, it may seem like a shilly kind of thing, but for me, it's this, I know I need to do this, and I need to put and hold my feet to the fire, and so I need to publicly state this. So this is what we're starting now, and again, I don't have all the answers, could use the help. So if, you know, you're interested in this at all, I'm gonna summarize all of this in a blog post, and please reach out, and always are looking for feedback for Collab.land. Thank you.